Hi, Five Oaks and Rachel Carson Falcons. Welcome to another episode of Read with Force. I'm Mrs. Zilmerman here again with my friend, Mrs. Perenboom. Hi, Mrs. Perenboom.
Hello.
And we're so happy to have one of our great friends and great teachers on with us today, Miss Edwards. Hi, Miss Edwards.
Hello.
We're so glad you're here with us. Miss Edwards, for those who don't know you, because, distance learning, we don't see all the teachers all the time. Can you just tell us how long you've been at Five Oaks, how long you've been teaching, and anything else you want us to know about you?
Yeah, so my name is Miss Edwards and I teach 7th grade humanities. And I have been a teacher and been at Five Oaks this is my 5th year. So I started teaching at Five Oaks and I've now been teaching for 5 years, which seems crazy to me. Oh yeah, so right when it was January 1st, 2021, I used this app called Goodreads. And you can actually make your goal. So I went in there right away and I put my goal, and my goal this year is going to be 30. I was just like, I don't know if we're going to go back to school, or I don't know what's going to happen. So I wanted to make sure in 2020, I read 45. Wow. But this year I'm going to try to read 30. And I'm kind of a person where I make a goal because I get competitive with myself. Sometimes I get into reading slumps and I don't want to read. And sometimes my goal is what keeps me going. I want to see myself get my goal, and it turns into a little competition. But I was talking to some of my reading friends and they were telling me how they're not just having a number goal this year, but they're actually making a goal inside a goal. They want to read 5 books that were recommended to them by friends, and then 5 books that are mystery horror genre, and 5 books that are by certain authors. And I've never done that before, but I'm kind of thinking maybe I want to add to my goal, because I definitely stick within one genre. Maybe I need to push myself to try out some new books.
Miss Edwards, I'm so glad that you said that, because that is something that I want to try to be better about this year, is pushing my goal more than just a number. It's not always just about how much you read, but maybe about what you read. Yeah. And so the Beaverton City Library has this program called Booking Ahead, and they have a kids version and an adult version. And they suggest this is what you should read this month. And so the adult version has a specific book that you can get at the library, or a specific genre that you should read each month. And then the kids version has read something from the new book display, or read something from this genre. And so you still get to choose what you're reading, but it kind of gives you a little push to step outside of your comfort zone and try something new. So that's what I'm going to try for my reading goal this year.
Maybe I need to check that out, because I'm definitely someone who I don't like to try new books. I don't always like to try new things. So I'm going to look into that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And I'm glad you said, Miss Edwards, about being competitive. When you said you were competitive, you were saying you're competitive with yourself for the goals. And I just want to stress how important that is, to only keep the competition of these goals with yourself and not try to, and this is maybe a personal opinion, but I wouldn't want to come on here and say, okay, Mrs. Perenboom and Miss Edwards, let's have a challenge and see who can read the most books all year.
You will.
I don't like that. Because I find myself, I don't know, I wouldn't read for fun. I wouldn't read for the pleasure of it. It would just be more of a competition thing. And that's not fun.
No.
Ooh, okay. I have 2 books for you today. The first one, I know I've talked about it so much, but I still love it. It is The Body in the Woods by April Henry. It's one of my favorites. And for those of you who don't know April Henry, it's really cool because April Henry is from Portland, Oregon. And when you read her books, it's really cool because she references a lot of places that maybe you have been before. But what I love about April Henry, because I personally love mystery and horror and something that's a little bit scary, and all her books definitely fall into that category. So The Body in the Woods is about three teenagers. They're friends. I don't remember if they're like in middle school or high school, but they're just three teens, and they are part of something called the Portland County Search and Rescue. It's like a volunteer organization, and I looked it up, and it's really a thing. We call it the Multnomah County Search and Rescue, but it's really a thing that you can do. And what it is say someone goes hiking, a very Oregon thing that people do, and maybe their family hasn't heard from them or seen them in a little bit, and they're a little concerned. Usually just means someone maybe got lost on their hike. So they were called to go help and find this person just in a big group of people. You're just looking for this person who's missing. And they're up in a place called Forest Park, which maybe you've been to in Portland. And they're searching for this person. And all of a sudden, they come across a dead body. And I mean, they freak out. Like, naturally, people would freak out when you find a dead body in the woods. And they call the adults over, and they get all these people, and they're a little concerned by the lack of concern from other people. Like, they're like, there's a dead person here. Why aren't y'all freaking out a little bit more? Why aren't you searching more for whoever did this? Like, what are you doing? And they decide to take it into their own hands, which don't do that. Like, that's not a good idea. But they decide to take it into their own hands, and they don't realize, as they're starting to find out who this killer is, that maybe this person has been watching them the whole time. So I'm not going to tell you what happens. I'm not going to tell you how it ends. But if you want a mystery and like you read it so fast because you have to find out what's going to happen, The Body in the Woods by April Henry would be a great read for you.
I had to read that one in the daytime. I couldn't read it at night because it totally freaked me out, but I'm a wimp. And I think it's the first in a series. There's a few more books about that same group of kids and other mysteries.
I didn't know that.
I think the next one is, I want to say it's called Blood Will Tell. But there's at least one more about that same group of kids and the search and rescue.
Ooh,
you know what? Miss Edwards and Miss Peramboom, that gave me another idea for a goal. What if you had a goal where you just read an author's whole series of books? Like you read, maybe your goal is to read like all of April Henry's books. Right? Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh, that'd be really interesting to like see if they're different or if you like notice any patterns in their writing, or that's a cool idea.
Awesome.
Okay, I have another book for you. Are you ready?
Ready.
This is the book that, shout out to my 8th grade students from last year because they told me to read it and I just like never got around to it last year and I finally did. And it is a graphic novel called New Kid by Jerry Craft. And I love graphic novels, and we have a ton of the copies in the library, although they're like always checked out. But I just never got around to reading it, and I don't know why, because it was so good. And it is a graphic novel, but I actually listened to it, which is something I don't normally do. But this audiobook is so cool because they actually got different voice actors for all of the characters. So as you're listening to it, it kind of feels like you're almost like listening to a play or a movie. Like I definitely want to go look at the pictures in the graphic novel, but I really enjoyed listening to it as well. But New Kid is about a 7th grader in middle school whose name is Jordan. And as you can guess, he is a new kid at a new school. The thing about Jordan is he is this like amazing artist, and all he wants to do is be an artist, and all he wants to do is go to art school. But he gets into this very like prestigious academic school where students who come out of there are like usually really successful, and his parents are saying, there's no way you're going to art school. You just got into this amazing school. You have to go there. Like, we know it's not what you want to do, but you're only in 7th grade. I'm going to make you do this. Like, let's see how it goes. And he's upset about it, but he's like, I'll give it a shot. I'll go. And he shows up on the first day, and he said he looked at this campus, and he's like, it looked like Harvard, or like there's all these old brick buildings, like this very prestigious. He was like, I'm in a different world. And he starts looking around, and he's realizing this is not like my public school I was just at. No one here really looks like me. He's one of the few students of color at this whole school. And he's realizing that he's having kind of a hard time fitting in there, and that he's having a hard time finding people who are interested in the same things as him. And just that will like treat him the same. And his teachers are very strict, and it's this whole new world that he's trying to fit into. And he's definitely really, really struggling. I still have like 60 pages of the book left. I haven't finished it yet, but I really want to finish it because I know that the author just put out another graphic novel. And I don't know if it's continuing Jordan or if it's, there it is, this Pyramid Class Act. So that's it, like just came out like a few months ago. Am I right?
You are.
Yeah, I bought it for my son for Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
Which is why we have it. And then he finished it in like a night. And he was like, Mom, you have to read this. And I was like, okay, I'll get to it. And then last night I was like, I should probably read that so I can talk about it on Read with Force. And I'm almost done. It's really, really good. It's great. It's
Does it continue with Jordan, or is it a different character?
So it's the same group of friends. So it's Jordan and Drew, Liam and Andy, and the girls in the story, I can't remember their names because they don't play a super big role, but it follows more closely Drew's story, and it has them like it's the next year. So they're all in 8th grade thinking about what high school they're going to go to. Are they going to stay at RAD, the Riverdale Academic Day School, I think is what it's called, or are they going to apply for the art high school, and like what's going to happen next, and kind of seeing like what other people's lives are like, and kind of like recognizing that it's like our families are different and we don't always know what's going on in someone else's house, even though we can see it. So there's some friendship stuff going on. And I got the audiobook. There's this program where teachers can get free advanced listening copies. And so one of them was Class Act for this month. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get that. And I started listening to it this morning, and my son came in, he's like, Mom, you can't listen to that. You got to look at it. You got to read the book with the pictures. And but it is the same, like a full cast of characters. So all the voices are different for all the different characters. And it's really cool. Jerry Craft is amazing, like the storytelling. And this, so I don't remember if this happens in New Kid, but he adds in, like for each chapter, he kind of has like a parody almost of other popular graphic novels. And I don't remember that from New Kid, but we were looking at these and my son was laughing about how they took, instead of Real Friends, it says Teal Friends. And the very first one is like the sketch diary of a shrimpy kid instead of a wimpy kid. And so it's just like, it's really funny to see Jerry Craft reference other graphic novels. He goes into a room and he meets some new friends. I don't know if you can see this, but this character right here is Kwame Alexander. And then here's Jason Reynolds. And so he like pulls in like these other awesome artists and writers into the story. And so he says, Jordan, Liam, this is Jason, Renee, Nick, Angie, Liz, Jackie, Derek, and Kwame.
So Renee Watson and Jackie Woodson.
Nick Stone, I'm assuming.
Nick Stone.
So cool that like he pulls in all these great, awesome authors and artists of color and brings them into the story. So super cool.
Girling on a picture.
Like it's so fun. I love it. So Class Act, it's amazing. You guys should I don't think we have it in our library. I might be able to.
You're getting it. Jacob. It's coming.
Oh, we are. It's coming.
It should be here any day.
Okay, I was gonna say I might be able to convince Jacob to let us, now that we've read it a lot of times, to like put it in
and
the
I think
library.
we have it on Sora as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Because that is a Project Lit book. So
of course it is.
I know. And I did want to say Miss Edwards' class and Miss Holloway's class, you already know this because I told you, but New Kid, the book, actually won the Newbery Award this year. And the Newbery Award is the best in children's literature for the year. And also won the Coretta Scott King Award, which is the best African-American Black community author of the year. And so 2 major awards New Kid won. And so that's just really special. Another thing I told the 7th graders this week is, if you ever have somebody come to you and say, well, that's a graphic novel, that's not a real book. Have them come talk to any one of the three of us, all right? And we will talk to them because graphic novels are definitely real books. And one just won the best in children's literature. So now we all know graphic novels are real books.
They are real books.
Fantastic. Mrs. Perenboom, did you make a goal for yourself reading wise this year?
Well, I did give myself a number goal.
Okay.
So I got to tell you, in 2019, my goal was 60 books. And I finished my 59th book on New Year's Eve. And I was like super disappointed in myself that I didn't, like, I almost got there. So last year, my goal was 60 books and I read like 64. And I was super proud of myself. So I did up my number goal for this year on the Goodreads to 65 books.
Wow.
I've got 2 so far. I count audiobooks too.
Yes, of course.
Think that's still reading, right?
Yeah.
So between audiobooks and physical or ebooks, I'm at 2 so far, and we're only 7 days in. So I think I'm doing okay. But I think I'm going to try the Beaverton City Library, like the challenge to read different types of books along with my number challenge this year. What about you, Ms. Zimmerman? Did you set yourself a goal this year?
I did set myself a goal this year, another number one. And I wanted to talk to you just before I share mine about not meeting your goal all the way. It's not failing. You read 59 more books than you might have had you not met that goal. So I really want to say, if you make a goal and you don't reach it all the way, there is no shame in that. There is nothing wrong with that. You tried, and that is what's important. And so I
read a lot of books that year.
Yeah.
A lot of really awesome books that maybe just took me a little bit longer to get through.
Yeah.
That's totally fine.
And I remember one year I was having a hard time getting to my goal. It was almost New Year's Eve. And I said, oh, I have 5 books left to read. I'm never going to make this goal. And that would have been okay. But a friend of mine who works in a bookstore, he messaged me and he says, Andy, you don't have to read big, thick books. You can read a picture book. Or sometimes like really important people give speeches and they make those speeches into books, right? And so then it's just that. I was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I love picture books. I have picture books. And so I was able to meet my goal that way. Even if I didn't, it would have been okay. But they don't have to be big, thick books all the time, right?
Yeah, I reached my goal twice last year.
And that's good too. Yes.
Yeah, like we went into lockdown and COVID happened, and I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. So I made it really high. And then I was like, that's unrealistic on myself. Like, I don't want to stress about it. So I lowered it a little bit. So goals can change.
Absolutely.
100%. Now, that being said, last year I had the goal of 100 books and I read 118.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so let me explain. You all remember that I went back to the library during COVID. So I don't have classrooms to teach, right? I meet with you guys every so often, but my job is to know what books are about in our library. So a large part of my job last year was actually to read the books that we had in our library. So before you think, wow, where did she get all that time? Remember, it was part of my job. Okay. If we didn't have a lockdown, I would never have read that many books. I can promise you. But I know that Miss Edwards talked about using Goodreads to track what she read. And I know Mrs. Perenboom uses Goodreads as well, right?
Yeah.
And so Goodreads is a really good way to keep track of what books you read. But even if you don't want to get on that computer app because you're sick of being on the computer, you can make a journal. You can write it down on a journal. Some people make Post-it notes. And so for each book they write, they put it on one Post-it note and put it on their door. And then like maybe by the end of the year, they have a door full of Post-it notes that all have books ideas or the books that they read with the author on it as well. And so, you don't have to have a book goal. You don't have to have a book number goal. You don't have to have an author goal. Maybe your goal is to read for 15 minutes a day. Maybe that's your goal. Maybe you're a half an hour, whatever you want, whatever you pick, right? But if you're not a reader, but you really know that there's some books out there that you'd like to have in your brain, maybe set a timer for 15 minutes every day. And that's your goal. Maybe your goal is just like, I'm going to sit here and read for 15 minutes every day. And that's it. You don't have to stop after 15 minutes, right? If you like it, you can keep going. But it would be cool to just have like a little check mark after every day. Yep, did my 15 minutes, did my 15 minutes. So it doesn't just have to be a title of a book or reading a whole book. It could just be minutes. I did make a goal. Again, I'm trying for 100, and that's only because we're still on lockdown. If we go back to school, I may have to change that goal. So you can keep me to that. Here's what I'm concentrating on though. You know, I love books. I get books. I buy books. I get them all the time. And then they sit on my shelf. You know why? Because a library book will come in, or I'll see a brand new book come into our library and I'll want to read it before I give it to you. And so I have literally probably 30 books on my shelves that I know are good, that you've told me are good, that I haven't read yet. So I have to read the books that I have here before I go off and read anything else, unless it's important, like I'm doing it for Project Let Book Group or something like that. One more, as I share this book with you. This book is called The Undefeated. It is written by Kwame Alexander, who we were just talking about, and it is illustrated by Kadir Nelson. And I have shared this book with the 7th graders this year, and also I read to my literacy enrichment class last year. Kadir Nelson is an amazing artist, and he won the Caldecott Medal this year, which is the top illustrated book of the year. Just like Jerry Craft won 2 awards for New Kid, Kadir Nelson won 2 awards for Undefeated, both the Caldecott and the Coretta Scott King Award. And Undefeated is an amazing book because, you know, the illustrations are great, but also not a lot of words on a page. And some pages don't have any words at all. And so the reason I bring up this book, not only because it won an award, is that I put myself through award challenges in the past. And so one time when my daughter was in 2nd grade, we had a Caldecott Medal book challenge. So we got all the Caldecott Medal books and we were able to read them all. It was great because she was in 2nd grade and a lot of them were picture books. And so we went through the Caldecott Medal books. When I started teaching, I went through the Newbery Medal Award books. And some of them aren't very good in my mind. Like they were written back in the like 40s. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how can these still be on the shelves? Like we totally think different today. So it's just interesting. So that might be a challenge you put yourself through too. So many different challenges, you guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of different ways to get out there and read. I think the important thing is to just continue reading and seeing new ideas and meeting new characters and having those new experiences.
Absolutely. So here's what we want from you, okay? We have come up with some ideas for challenges. You may have come up with ideas for your own challenges that we can't even think of in our heads. We want to know what your goal is for the year. I'm not saying you have to keep it. I want your idea for what your goal is going to be. So think about what your goal is going to be, your reading goal for the year, and email Mrs. Perenboom or myself. Our emails are on the screens, or you can find us on Canvas or wherever. Tell us what your goal is. We're going to give you until the end of the month, until the end of January, to give us your idea, to email us your idea for your reading goal for the year. On February 1st, we will take all the emails that came to us and we'll put the names all in a basket and draw one out, or I'll have the computer do a random search. I know, digital age, man. And one of you will win a prize. And so if you won a prize before, you know that that's a pretty good prize. All right. So you will win a prize. Go ahead and give us your New Year's goals. Maybe you have 2 or 3 that you're thinking of. That'll be 2 or 3 raffle tickets for you. So let's hear what those goals are. I'm excited to share them with everyone else. So
Ms. Zimmerman, can teachers share their goals with us too?
Yes, but they cannot win.
Okay.
They've had way too many years, way too many more years to think about this than our students.
Okay.
Yes. But we will come up with a list. I can put that on the library page of all of the goal ideas. So just in case you're needing some inspiration or things, you can go to the library page after January 31st and get some ideas of what people have come up with. So thank you so much, Ms. Edwards, for coming on with us for Read with Force and telling us about great books and your goals.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
So fun. So fun. All right. Until next week, don't forget to get us your goals. We will see you again on Read with Force. Bye.
Bye.